All right, good morning, everybody, or good day, depending on where you are. Thank you for joining. I'm Rich Frawley. I'm the Digital Forensics Specialist here at ADF Solutions. For those of you that don't know me, I have been with ADF for approximately 3 years. I came on specifically for the version 4, which we are looking at here today, and which is currently being used throughout the world. Prior to that, 22 years in law enforcement, 17 as an examiner and an investigator involved with digital evidence and computer crimes. So with that, today we're going to get into creating custom search profiles. And one of the things that we're doing and trying to do is to get more of this information out to you, the user, to better understand the tool. Without having to dedicate your time or your weeks or your days. Try to give you little pieces of this to understand specific parts of the tool and how it may affect the scan that you're running. So thanks for joining in here today. A couple of important links in relation to what we're doing here today with teaching you about search profiles. We have started putting up some short videos as well at our adfsolutions.com/learn. So there's a few videos up there. What is a search profile? Adding keywords, adding your project Vic hashes is coming up. How to boot a Surface Pro has gone up there. And there's more doing a live scan as well. So there's more coming as the time goes by. So keep checking that. Your versions, your user guides, technical specs, all that information can be found at downloads. So adfsolutions.com/downloads. Any issues you may have, it's adfsolutions.com/support. And as always, I see some of the names that are out there, and we have just, had conversations through email. So there's my email address. It's rfrawley@adfsolutions.com. But as always, through support, there's a support line, there's support email, and that'll get you anybody from the support team. And let's see. So today, the agenda, we're going to go over creating a custom search profile, but a couple of things I want to make sure that we get through is a better understanding of the artifact captures and the file captures. Let you know what's in there, what they do, kind of a general overview, but a little more than probably we've had in the past with demos and you actually looking at the tool or trying out the tool. We're getting to adding some keywords, get into adding the hashes and collecting files, either from specific files or specific files from a specific location or the different variations of that therein. So with that, let me close this down and we'll get right into DEI here. So hopefully everybody can see that on my screen. On another screen, I do have open the questions pod. So if there are any questions, please feel free to type those in and I will get to those most likely near the end of what we're doing. I also have the chat panel up in case something goes through in there, and I will try to focus my attention every now and then into those. So ADF Digital Evidence Investigator, the latest version is 1.4.2. And as I said, you can get that up on the website as well as the user guides. And speaking of that, if you are on that site and you follow the link to the user guides, there is also a download for what each capture contains. So we're going to be looking at what each profile contains. So we're going to be looking at search profiles today. There's also something up on the website that explains each one, what is turned on and off in each one and what it'll do for you. So when using Digital Evidence Investigator, we do give you out of the box default profiles for you to run, and we also give you the ability to customize your own. So when you go into setup scans, let me just back up here again and make sure I speak through what I'm doing. So from when you open up Digital Evidence Investigator, you get to your home screen, you go to setup scans, and this is your library. This is where all your profiles are maintained. And sorry, I'm just trying to hide something on the side there. So this is where all your profiles are maintained, the out of the box and the custom. Over on the right-hand side is our toolbar, and that is where, sorry, I just have to move something on my screen. So that is where we can create new captures and where we can import profiles, and I'll get into a little bit more on that. But we have our search profiles that we give you default out of the box. They're broken down by speed and objective. So your quick, your intermediate, your comprehensive, and the objective would be either the safe credentials, the IPOC, which is indecent pictures of children, and I believe we are going to be changing that to something more suitable and globally acceptable, because IPOC does have different meanings in different countries. But for now, IPOC is indecent pictures of children or your child exploitation cases. And general profiling, it does the same thing. It just takes the keywords and or hashes out of the profiles for the indecent picture type investigations. We have a quick one here for iOS backups. Intermediate, same, also collects just email, and then your comprehensives. So the thing to know about these is your quick search profiles are designed to look at the user profiles only. It's very low-hanging fruit. It's going to go in, look at the user profiles. It's going to look for files by keywords. It's going to grab all the artifacts you typically want in every case. The thing about that is, again, to remember, it's the user profiles only. And if you were to run that against a thumb drive, a non-operating system external drive or a thumb drive or something like that, you're not going to get any results, because it is specific to looking into the user profiles and following specific paths to get that information. Intermediate's the same. It is targeted at the user profiles. It goes a little farther, where it does collect the multimedia files for you and documents and runs the keywords against more, and it also integrates hash values into that. And again, if you run these against an external drive or a non-operating system type drive, it's not going to pick anything up, because it is designed for operating system artifacts and collecting files from collecting those files from the user profiles. And comprehensive is more your everything from everywhere. We have broken it down a little bit more for specific uses. So we have speed optimized, and I'm going to get into that. I'm going to explain exactly what that is. But comprehensive looks for everything, grabs it. The speed optimized, that's based on the file header analysis, and I'll explain that as we get into it. So if it's speed optimized, the file header analysis is limited. If it does not say speed optimized, such as here, that is an everything from everywhere, full file header analysis on everything. So we have our IPOC, our general profiling, and then we have our last one, which is collecting pictures from free space. Again, these are the ones we are giving you to use. These are the ones that we have set specifically to do something. So you don't need to use them. You don't have to use them. And if you wanted to add something to one of the other, your comprehensive, if you wanted your comprehensive general profiling to also collect pictures from free space, it can be set to do that. And hopefully in today's webinar, we'll cover that. You'll understand exactly where all that comes from. Now it says manage your search profiles over here. So you can see in any of these that we give you, and just scroll back up to the top, any of the default profiles that ADF has created for you and put into this package, there's a hide button. So if you're using this and you don't do indecent pictures of children profiles, and you don't want to see this every time you come in here, you can hide these just by clicking on the hide button, and you can see that that is no longer part of the library. It's not deleting it. It is doing exactly what it says. It's just hiding it. Kind of cleans up your search profiles here. And then you can see over here on the side, I now have an icon saying to show the profile. So I could just click that and now they're back in. So just a little tip there to clean up your profiles and show only what you want to show. With that, we can also copy. So if you know you're going out on a search warrant or a knock and talk, a consent type search, and you know you want to be quick and you know you want to be low hanging fruit, quick is where you're going to be looking, or intermediate's where you're going to be looking, and then comprehensive, that's more reserved for in the lab. Quick and intermediate, if I haven't said, it of course all depends on the computer you're running it on and how much you're going to be collecting. But typically a quick profile on a live computer can take, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes. Intermediate, about the same, maybe, anywhere from that 5-minute mark, maybe up to 15, 20, depending on what's being collected in the computer you're running it on. Boot scans, if you're running it from a USB device on a nice powerful computer, your time's going to be a lot faster than that. I've run some intermediates against user profiles and been done in 4 minutes. Collecting upwards of 10,000 files. So again, your mileage may vary depending on what you're running it on. If you're running it in your lab, against something, it's, usually you have a nice beefy machine, a lot of memory, a lot of speed, so you'll get more out of it that way as well. So let's get into the interior part. So a search profile is made up of artifact captures and file captures. It's what you want to collect. It's what you're asking the tool to go in and get for you so you can analyze it. A couple ways to get there. You can start off with a blank slate by going to New Profile. And that will give you all the captures now that we have given you. So we've given you search profiles, and in those search profiles are these captures. If you want to know what, let's say, intermediate IPOC does, we can hit copy on that. So your two ways are either New Profile, blank slate, or copy with a with what's in that. So you would have to give it a new name up top, new profile name. And in our library, excuse me for bouncing back and forth, but in our library, you can see it's in reverse alphabetical order. So Q is up on top and C is down the bottom. So when you're creating your own profiles, if I'm going to copy this, one of the things I always do, I'm not doing cases anymore, but I am, doing a lot of demos and I make a lot of profiles, or I ship them off to people who need a little bit of assistance. I always name mine starting with the word custom and then what the purpose of it was. If it was a demo for IPOC. So I know that it's custom profile. I know where I'm going to find it in my library. It's going to be with the C's, down near the comprehensive ones, and they're all going to be together, by what my task was. We have our notes, so I've copied this, so all the notes from the intermediate IPOC are in here. If I'm going to add anything or customize this, I can add to the notes section or change it. That's completely up to you. But let's get into the captures. So a search profile is made up of captures. There's artifact captures and there's file captures. Artifact captures are denoted by these, by the icons. So you can see here, I've hovered over the calls, and you can see when I do that, which apps or which programs we are parsing out or supporting. So under the calls, Skype, TextMe, WeChat, WhatsApp, iOS phone, Viber, and Line. And for those of you who aren't aware yet, cell phone is coming out of beta and will be going into the program with the next release. So that's why you will start seeing some more artifacts in here pertaining to cell phone. So you just hover over this. Now you can see the emails, which emails we parse out. So if there's a question as to, when you've run something, you say, oh, well, it didn't get this, or, do we support it? with the documentation online, or you can come right in here and like I said, hover over this and see it. You can see here, this is a pretty long list. Just a little hint here to figure this out. If I'm in the middle, you're going to see that start blinking because there's, depending on the resolution of the computer, there's not enough real estate for that window to open. So here, I just scroll up a little bit, I hover over it, and now you can see all the different apps under messaging that are available that we're going to parse. So artifact captures are denoted by the icons. They cannot be customized, they cannot be edited. They're hard-coded in. They're looking for specific files on the computers and pulling that information out. It's automated for you. So the installed applications will go in on a Windows, it shows you here, on a Windows machine, a Mac or iOS, and parse out the information, the files that contain the installed applications, or the area of the drives that will show that. Peer-to-peer, same thing. Show you your operating system information. You know, it pulls out your operating system, the versions, install date, all that information. USB history, anything that's been logged in there. Last inserted time, so on and so forth. Your connection logs, you know, great for connecting to the networks, but also, you know, if you're looking somebody who's been traveling around and hitting all the Wi-Fi spots, you know, if you run this and you go into the results, you'll be able to filter right down to those, you know, Wi-Fi names and see where they've been at, what they've been doing. Let me show you a little more down here. So, you know, calendars for the iOS and Android, and recent files, user account, user login, so on and so forth, web browsers. And save credentials. We have a search profile for that. I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you about this one. Save credentials only runs on a live machine. So it would have to run from the USB device. It does go in and pull out all the usernames and passwords from your browsers. And it, like I said, needs to be run on a live machine. But if there is any antivirus, you should disable it before running this, because this is the one thing in our tool that will set that off. Other than that, you shouldn't have an issue with antivirus. File captures are the captures that go in and collect files, either by their properties, by keywords, or by hashes. So your file captures are all the ones that do not have the icons, and some of them are called traces. So anti-forensic traces, and I want to show you exactly, you know, what that does and how it sets up for you visually. But that would go in looking for any traces of anti-forensic programs or files that may be on the system. Gives you that upfront quick information. So if there's any files, it will alert you to those. We have keyword searches, so we give you these Intel keywords. Here's our indecent pictures of children, the hash sets, and the keywords. The hash set is about 350 to 400,000 values, and it's broken down into different thorough, speed optimized, just in the user profile. And then we had a hash set that also has the file sizes associated with those hash values. And multimedia, we break down into pictures and videos and into different categories. With this, you can see we break it down for you. You can choose one of these, or you can create your own, which we're going to get into. But when choosing these, if you're looking at a thumb drive, if you're looking at an external device that's non-operating system, you could come in here and select pictures comprehensive, thorough ID, no carving, and that would look at those types of systems. So if this was checked at a profile, it would go through, and you pointed it to a thumb drive, it would go through and pull out all the pictures on that external drive, on that non-operating system drive, and collect all that for you. So those are the choices you would have to make. If you were to choose pictures in browser cache or pictures in the user profile, it would not pick those up. So comprehensive is what you want to use when you're using those, when you're looking at those external type storage drives. Videos the same way, and we break it down into under 100 megs and over 100 megs. And for those cases, sometimes these are broken down into frames. You can see here that we're collecting videos over 100 megs, but only the frames, which means we're not collecting the video. We're just breaking down the 50 frames for you to give you an idea what's there. So if you were looking for audio, that would not be what you want to do. You would want to look for the comprehensive, which is going to collect it and break it down into frames for you, so you can play it, you can hear it, you can see it. So that's another little one. When you're making those decisions, you know, sometimes we set these up quick and we click through and then we go to our results and say, oh, where's the video? You know, I want to hear what's in it. So that's where you need to look when you're doing that. I was talking about the traces, so I'm going to back out here for a second, just so you kind of get an understanding. I'm going to go with the review results. Oh, I don't know if I have it in here, but let me check. Yeah, I didn't run this long enough to do that, so I don't have it in here. But what it does, and I'll try to get some results before we're over, but it breaks it down for you. And if we ran a keyword such as CCleaner, and I do have this online, if I ran a keyword such as CCleaner in the anti-forensics, what it's going to do when it finds the keywords, it's break it down into the table it's found in. So it'll tell you that, hey, the executable's in here, it's been searched for, here's the search terms, it's been downloaded, here's the download record, it's been installed, here's the installed applications, and you might also have it in usage, application usage. So it breaks it down visually very fast for you, so you could tell, hey, you know, I did a triage on this, but as an examiner now, what am I looking at on this machine? What type of information am I in for? And it really gives you that upfront quick. So let me get back here. I'm going to copy again. I'm going to give it a name, custom demo. And you can see now everything. I've kind of gone through here, give you an idea what these are. If you want to know what keywords are in here, so I'm in my profile, I'm creating another one, and I think, you know, maybe I want to run the terrorism, but I'm not sure what the keywords are. With the information downloaded online on what's in each search profile, you will see the keyword list, but you can also copy it here, and you can see all the keywords and how they're run. And all their settings. So if you wanted to change something on it, it will still keep it in the same capture group, but you just change the capture name. So if I wanted to get rid of some of these words or customize it for my own, I'd be able to do that. So that's all that. So with that, when you want to go in and bring in your own keywords and bring in your own hash sets or collect your own files, create your own capture specifically for what, you know, your task is. Before getting to that, you want to remember that under captures here, you have capture groups. So application, communication, device data, documents, multimedia, IPOC, which is the indecent pictures of children, Intel keywords. And this hash set one is one that I've created. That's custom. So you can create your own capture group. And underneath that, you can see it's a Project Vig hash set. So when you bring in your own hash list, I brought this in a few days ago, it's now here for me to turn on or turn off. I don't have to recreate this list, but I can go back and edit it. Let's say I set this just to run across the user profile and not the entire file system. I can come in and edit it or copy it and make another version of it that will run against something else. But it is here for me to just turn on or turn off in any search profile that I wanted in now. Again, bring it in once, it's there to stay. If you bring in a hash set or a keyword list that you're only going to use once. Let's say it's a cyber tip and you're using specific keywords for that user, then people he's been trading with, you'll probably never use it again. When you're done with that profile, you'd be able to come in here and delete that as well. You can also export anything you bring in, delete it, copy it, or edit it. So that's it, capture groups, capture names, and now we're going to get into creating your own. So while you're in your search profile, we've given it a name, we've gone through and decided, yeah, this is everything I want to run in my profile. You know, I'm going out on a search warrant or a knock and talk, or I'm just running it against some evidence in the lab that I want to kind of give a triage to. I'm not looking for the everything from everywhere. So I copied the intermediate and I'm going to add my specificity to that. So I would come over to our toolbar. You know, the function toolbar is on the right, the navigation toolbars are to the left, usually highlighted in this green teal color. So you can see over on the left, cancel is the back button. So that's my navigation, but over my function, I want to create a new profile. So I go to right, new profile, and here's my options. Collect files, search for keywords, or search for files by hash value. Those are the three we're going to get into. So collecting files, this is based on the properties of the file, what you're looking for. So it's either the file type, file name, file header, and then any of the other options and where you want to look at it. So again, when you start, the first thing you need to do is put it into a capture group. So if I'm collecting files, let's say I'm doing a fraud and it's it's a QuickBooks case, I could put in maybe a capture group called My Captures. So it's a catch-all for anything that I've created. And then the capture name would be the specific name for what I'm doing. So maybe I'm going to collect QuickBook files. So then once I have that, my capture group, capture name, now it's time to go in and customize, say, this is what I want to collect. If I'm doing a QuickBooks case and I know a default location, let's say I'm going into an attorney's office, I know he keeps all his information in my documents in QuickBooks, and that's where I'm specifically looking for. They've given me the information up front. I can go in and say I want to collect all files, right? And then come over to my file sources to targeted folders and point it towards that specific directory. So we have a lot of targeted folders in here that we use in our profiles. So like if I was going into the user profiles, I can just select that. But if I'm just going to copy this here to make it easier for me. If I wanted to put in my own location, you would come over to include folder, and I'm going to copy that directory. So it's going to look for any users, and then it's got the wildcard, so any character after that. Then I'll put another slash or any amount of characters, and then if I had another folder, I can put in that name, or I can put in, if I know it was in users, my documents, then slash, anything would, and then the period and the star, which is the, any characters, so any amount of characters after that slash, it would go into. So it would go to users, my documents. Let me just do this. So instead of talking about it, I can go to my documents, and then forward slash, and then I don't even think it's called my documents anymore, right? It's just documents. And then forward slash, and then the period and the asterisk, which is any character after that. So this would target, it would collect all files from the users and documents folder and any subfolders there, subfolders and files therein. So it's as simple as that. I hit OK. It's saying here that, it's make this affects all the captures. So now this capture called QuickBook files would go into all files, collect all files in that specific targeted folder. Another way to collect files is if I'm looking for something specific, So let me just turn that off. And if I wanted to, I could come back in here. I just created that. I can delete that so it's not in there anymore. If I've created it and I know it's not used by any other search profile, I can go back and clean up and delete. So my other option in here is to collect specific files. So we have all the files listed under here by category. If I knew I was looking for QuickBook files, I would look under database, and I can go into view. And you can see all the different database files that are in here. And you can see we have some QuickBooks in here. If those were the ones I was looking for, I would select those. If there's one here that is not listed, you can add. Again, go to the function toolbar, and you could put in, so I could say it's the QuickBooks, and then I could put in the file extension. If you're looking for a file that does not necessarily have a file extension, but it's always got the same name, you could put that in here, and then you could enter your file signature or your header information in this tab here. So you can add your own. You don't need to wait for us to support something. You can add your own files. So again, I'm looking for specific files. I came in here, I selected the QuickBooks, I hit OK. So now, so far, my capture is looking for QuickBook files. The next option is, by default, we are going to collect it for you. If you don't want to collect it, if you're just looking at a system to see if it's on there, you could check this, and it would only create a thumbnail or a report saying, yes, this is on there, and here's where it's located. So by default, it's off. It's going to collect. Here's that file identification method. This is where, when you're creating something, whether it's going to be quick or whether it's going to slow down your scans. So your comprehensives, or your quick and your intermediate, well, your quick will be fast identification. That is by file extension only. The thorough identification for files without extensions, that's the speed optimized. So any of our search profiles that say speed optimized, any of the captures have this selected. So what that does is, if it finds a file that doesn't have a file extension, it does a file header analysis on it, determines what type of file it is, and whether it's one that you are looking for or not. All other files, it does a fast identification on. So you're not going to get mismatches, but you're going to get through your caches and things like that, and you're not going to miss a heck of a lot of evidence, especially on your quick scans. So I'm looking for those QuickBook files. I am going to, typically with that, somebody's not going to change the extension, or they're not going to be files that they took the extension off of. So you might be able to look for fast identification. But I would typically check the thorough identification for those that don't have file extensions, just to be sure. If I wanted to look inside of archives for them, so zip files, RAR files, so on and so forth, you can go in and view exactly which archives we're going into. So if I wanted to look for those files, I'm going to identify them by by fast identification. Unless it doesn't have a file extension, I'm going to look inside of archives. Down below, we have file properties. This is where you can limit your search to file size. If you know you're looking for files between a certain size, you can set the limits here. With pictures, you can do pixels. And if you have a date range for your created or modified, you can put in your date boundaries down here. So I'm looking for QuickBooks. I am doing a thorough identification for files without extensions. I am looking inside of archives, and now I need to choose where in the file system I'm looking for them. So the entire file system would look everywhere. And if I'm just looking for 2 files, that would probably be fairly quick to look for. I can also target. If I know that everything I'm looking for is going to be in the user profiles or somewhere like that, I can target the folders. We look for deleted, anything that still has a file system link, that would be deleted, not carving. And files referenced by artifact records, what that does, maybe you wouldn't want to use it on this one, but for when you're looking for keywords or multimedia, it links certain artifact records to that file, puts the user to the file, if you will. So just for quickness to move on to the other ones. Looking for the database files, doing that thorough identification, looking inside of archives. I'm going to choose the entire file system and I'm going to hit save. And now what that does is it brings me back into the search profile that we're creating, and I look for my new capture group called My Captures, and there's my QuickBook Files capture that I've created. I can export it, I can delete it, I can copy it, I can edit it. I can also test it. You could put some files onto a thumb drive, run the scan against it, see if it captures what you're looking for. Or you could do a live scan just to make sure before you go out and see that it's working. And if something was wrong with it, you could come back in and hit edit. So let me move on a little bit here. So we've added that. Let's go into new capture and let's add some keywords. Again, we need to put it in a capture group name. So, you know, you're going to be running a lot of cases with a lot of your own keyword lists. So just put it under, you know, capture group name keywords. You know exactly where you're looking each time. And then your specific keyword list. So this is my, you know, maybe it's case number 4, 5, 6 keywords. A couple different ways to bring them in. You can type individually. So if I was looking for the word Delmar, I could type that in. If I thought it was unique enough that I wanted to automatically tag it, I can set a tag level, and then I could put an auto comment. Maybe he's a suspect. I could put that under my comments. If it is something that I don't want, I can delete that keyword, or I can clear my table completely over on the side. I can import CSV or text. So you can see it defaults to CSV, but if I go to all files here, I also get my text keyword lists. In order to have the keyword list imported, your column must be labeled keyword, and then the keywords underneath it. And then optional columns are auto tag and auto comment, which is spelled out in our user guide, but that gives you the ability to put into your list that you're going to import, whether you're going to tag it and whether you want to comment on it. So with this one, I'm just going to bring in one to show you specifically a CSV file. It was just 4 keywords, but these were regular expression keywords. So these are for my fraud cases, and you can see I had a column called auto comment, and I had a comment in that column for each one of the keywords. This one collects Visa, this one's MasterCard, this does Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Diners Club, and Discover, and then the bottom one collects US Social Security numbers. So I brought in those keywords. Again, I can clear my table if those weren't the keywords I want, and I could point it towards another keyword list and bring those in as well. And you can see here, these were just regular keywords. They weren't regular expression. And again, if it was unique enough, such as a IP address, I can auto tag that. So if it finds that, it would apply a tag to it and automatically place it into my report along with the comment that's here. So that's bringing in keywords and regular expression. Our search scope, this is where we're going to run the keywords against. So the first thing our tool does when it runs is it creates a listing of every file and folder that's on the computer. So what I would do is come in here and select file and folder names, and it would run all these keywords against the file and folder names as that list is created. It's fast, it's seamless, it doesn't add any time to your scans whatsoever. Great for low-hanging fruit, great for putting together those traces on whether something's on your computer or not. The second thing our tool does is it parses out all those artifact records that we talked about, all those captures that had an icon on it. So as it's parsing those out, it's also running these keywords against that. Fast, seamless, doesn't add a lot of time. And again, it gives us that visual on what we're collecting and what's important. The third option is file content and metadata. So this is where you're getting into the, hey, I want to run these keywords against all documents, the content and the metadata of these documents. But I also want to add maybe internet files, or I want to add text files. Up to you, or you could choose to run it against all files. This is completely up to you. This is where you can get as granular as you want. If you know you're only dealing with, maybe you're only dealing with PDFs, you can get that granular to come in here and say, just run my keywords against PDFs, and then hit OK. And now you can see it's got the square box instead of the check mark saying that it's limited inside of this area. But if I wanted all documents again, check internet files, maybe text files. So all those keywords are going to run against documents, internet files, the content of documents, internet files, and text files. How do I want to identify these documents, internet files, and text files? Again, it's the same. You can see our screens are starting to repeat. Fast identification, thorough identification for files without extensions, and thorough identification of all files. Thorough identification, again, is that file header analysis on every file on the computer, gives you mismatches, makes sure that nothing was missed. Anything that may have, it's a JPEG, but it's been named something else. Sometimes the photo apps will do that. So you make the choice here. Again, when I'm looking for documents, do I want to look inside of archives? A little confusion here sometimes. So I'm already searching documents by selecting under file types. What this document over here means is I would look for embedded documents inside of documents, or embedded internet files inside of documents, or embedded text files inside of documents. So that's your choice whether you think that's something that's going on. And then PictureDB file, that's also parsing out PictureDB files and then running keywords in there, which typically isn't something that you'd be doing. So I may only check archive on this. I want to look for documents, internet files, and text files that may be inside archives. Again, your file properties and your file sources, entire file system, targeting, or files referenced by artifact records. So here's where it comes into play a little bit more. I'm working on a fraud, or I'm working on a specific case, and the keywords I'm running are vital to something here. So by checking files referenced by artifact records, it finds a keyword in a document, and then files referenced by artifact records goes and sees if that document is in any of the peer-to-peer captures, in the messaging captures, in the email captures, in the download captures, or the recent files. And if that document is in any of those artifacts, it links it for you. So when you go to look at that in the results, it'll say, here's your document, and it came in through a download, or it was in an email, and it has 3 recent file entries to it. So you can put the user to that file. It's not something that was just sitting there per se. Kind of does a little bit of the work for you in the background, really kind of helps you out up front. So that's what that is. So I would, again, keywords being run against documents, internet files, text files. I choose how I want to identify those. I want to look in archives, and then I'm looking entire file system or files referenced by artifact records, and again, deleted. Anything that still has a reference in the MFT or file tables or orphan files, so on and so forth. Once we make all our selections, we hit OK. Now I'm back to this screen. I've got my keywords, where I was running it against. Now these are just regular keywords, and they're going to run substring. And then if they were the regular expression like I brought in before, I would need to select this box here for regular expression. So you make a profile or a keyword capture, you run it against something, and you're getting 0 hits, and you find out, hey, those were regular expression and I forgot to check it. This is one of the places I would come look. That's I'm getting 0 hits. I shouldn't be, check this setting. And then it's going to collect them. It's automatically default. If it finds a keyword in a document or whatever you asked it to look in, it will collect it. Once all those choices are made, you hit save. And again, I come down to my keyword. Now this created it. There's my keyword list. There's my keyword group name, my keyword list. Again, I can export it to share with somebody. I can delete it. I can copy it. I can edit it. So we brought in keywords. I brought in the QuickBooks, and now I want to bring in some hashes. Again, we go back to new capture, search for file by hash. And this is going to go a little faster. I know we spent 45 minutes listening to me yammer on, but you're going to see now, after we've done this a couple times, it gets repetitive. So capture group name. I know I already have hash sets. All I need to do is put in H. You can see hash set came up. And then I go over to my capture name. And let's say this was cyber tip keywords. I could put in the cyber tip and maybe the number of the cyber tip, so I know it's unique to that. Now I have my capture group and my unique capture name. A couple different ways to bring in your hashes. You have files that have been given to you, like from a cyber tip. They sent you some images that the person uploaded to their Gmail or uploaded to Tumblr or wherever. You can point it at that directory and it will hash those files for you. You're working IP theft and you have that PDF document and you want to hash that and see if maybe that's on there. Or you have some other files. You just click on add files, point it at the directory that has those files, and let me just go down here. So I select that directory. When I get to the directory, it says, okay, there are files in here, and it will do subdirectories too. So if, let's say you did have cyber tip and you put all your images into a folder in different directories, it will parse through all those different ones and hash them out as well. But now I can say, if it finds these, do I want to assign a tag or a comment to it? So it'll automatically do that. If you know it's contraband or you know it's unique enough that you want it as part of your report, you can say, yes, please auto tag it, and I can put in cyber tip images as my comment. Now, keep in mind also, I can choose don't tag and put in a comment, and when it comes time to analysis, I can filter or search for just this comment, cyber tip images, and it'll bring them all up for you too. So there's a couple different ways to do that. So I'm going to tag it. I'm going to say it's cyber tip images. I'm going to hit OK, and it brought in 16 files. So those 16 files are hashed. Another way I could bring in hashes is through CSV or text here. So you can see I have a CSV file and I have some text files. Let me just back out of here a second. So I have a hash CSV here. I can point it at that. You can see it brought in 168. If there are any duplicates in there, if it's not formatted right, or if anything is not correct in that list, you'll get some warnings here or what happened. So it said it was completed, and there were 3 duplicates that it didn't add again. So I hit OK, and now I have 184 values in here. And I could also import VIX data. So you could point it at the VIX JSON. This is just a sample one, so it goes quicker, but I could bring that in. Now with the VIX data, it's gonna automatically tag it. It's gonna automatically categorize it for you. You don't need to do anything. It already sees it in there. If you bring in the VIX data, it's automatically done for you. So no need to worry when it doesn't give you that option to auto tag. It's going to automatically do it for you. It reads the data, categorizes, and moves on. Once I have my hash values in, I can hit next. Again, here's that screen, and again, it's pictures and videos that I'm looking for. How do I want to identify them? Am I doing a in the lab thorough identification, or am I going out on scene? Thorough identification for files without extensions. I want to look in archives, because a lot of that stuff comes in through RARs and zips and tars and such. Even your cache, there's a lot of archive files and caches. I want to look inside of documents. I want to look for those embedded pictures. I actually had a case where the guy was downloading all his stuff and putting it into Word docs and putting them on thumb drives, thinking nobody would ever see them. So you want to do that, and then parse out any picture DB or thumb caches that you come across as well. So my hashes will run against pictures and videos that I identify this way, and it's also going to look in archives embedded here. And then again, I choose where on the system, if I want to target a folder, if I want to do that linking of the artifacts, deleted, and I also have the option to carve when I'm doing images. It's the only reason we go into unallocated space is to carve. So let me just go back here. Another hint, so you're doing a comprehensive or a time limited, you have time, but you don't know how much time. And you want to gather as much information that's going to be relevant to you as possible. So if I target, let's say my user profiles here, right? So I'm looking for pictures and videos. Here's my identification. Here's where I'm looking. And I'm targeting my user profiles. So that's where it's going to go in first and search. And I'm going to start picking up my information there. But if I know I could let it run a little bit longer, once it's done with the targeted folders and you have entire file system checked, it will move out and do all the rest of the folders for you. It will not scan what you've already scanned already. So that's kind of your like, I want to get as much as I can, and if we're on scene for an hour, let it run for an hour. Because when you stop a scan, everything you've collected up to that point is on your key, is ready to be analyzed. As long as you shut it down, you stop the scan, pause it, you'll have everything you collected up to that point ready to be analyzed. So just remember that you can check both of these, and it will do targeted folders first. Even if you're doing a comprehensive scan in the lab, it will do that first. So if you're going to watch the scanner, you're keeping an eye on it, you want to see your results, that will do it first. It'll go through those user profiles first and do all that, and then move on to the rest of the file system. Once you've checked all that, you can hit save. Excuse me. And now I can come to hash set, and you can see my cyber tip is in there, and it's selected to be part of my profile. Once I've brought in my keywords, my hashes, the files I'm going to collect, I hit next. Here's where you can add fields. So we give you scan name, scan date, and time, which are mandatory. You can also add a field if you wanted to make sure that case number get put into your report. You could put that, and you can make it mandatory. So the scan can't start until all these fields are filled out. If it's going out in the field and you're not the one running it, you could put in, agent name or detective or investigator, whoever, whatever you want to put in. You could also make that mandatory. So when this profile is used, they would have to fill out all these fields before the scan button lights up at the bottom. We have scan options. So sometimes when you're running something, you want to be fast, and sometimes it hits a corrupt PDF or it hits something and it chokes. Every tool does it. What this little option here does is it says, hey, if it hits a file and it can't understand it, if it's choking on it, after a minute, skip that file, but you can also collect it. So you'll know exactly what it choked on. We can collect any password files it encounters as it's going through. It comes across a zip. The zip is password protected. It will collect that up to a size of 2 gigs. And also anything that our parsers didn't understand. That's kind of going along the lines with the skip. But if it's something that it came across a file, didn't understand what it was, you can ask it to collect that as well. If you're a type of agency that goes out into the field for multiple scans, multiple hours, locations, days, you're going out, your person's going to be out in the field for a few days using the key a lot, you could put BitLocker on that key, so that if it does get misplaced, lost, left somewhere, nobody else can get into it because it has BitLocker. It's BitLocker encrypted. And if you forget it, there's nothing we can do to help you with that. Once you make the choices on this page, you hit save. And now you can see in my managed search profiles, there is my custom demo, and it is there for me to export, delete, copy, or edit. Let me get into importing real quick. So you can see there's an import profile. If I open that, I created a profile, I sent it to somebody, they download it, and here it is. Here's my comprehensive MDI, general profiling. I point to that, I hit open, and it imports the search profile, and I hit OK, and then I can come down and I say, yep, there's my comprehensive, brand new, there for me to run. So it's great if you have multiple locations. Maybe you're all, you got a task force and everybody's going out and you all want to be on the same page. One person can create the profiles and share it with everybody else. Even with captures, it doesn't have to be a profile. It can be a capture as well. I load up my complete Project Vic and create a capture. I can export that, pass it on to the next guy on a thumb drive, and he can import it into his machine as well. So a couple different ways. I have my questions been up. If there's any questions, like I said, I yammered on for quite a bit here today. Thank you for staying with me and listening. Any questions, again, I'll take those now, or you can go to support. You can send me an email. But that's what I have on there. The only other thing was if you go to prepare collection key or run a scan, scan devices and images, you will see that your custom profile is here. Again, here's that custom demo we just made. If I'm selecting that, I'm going to run it against this partition. I'm going to choose this thing, and you can see over here now case number and agent name light up. And it's mandatory. So I have to put in a case number and I have to put in a name here, and then scan lights up at the bottom. So Eric, yes, you were a little late. Will this be available as video after? It will. It will probably be up next week sometime. And before you leave, I'm going to throw up a screen again. Does it scan shadow copies? System volume field. It does not at this point. That is something that's on our roadmap, but it is at this point it is not. I just want to open up something here for you guys to see before I leave as a reminder. And this is what I get for closing things down instead of leaving them open. But I just want to give you a screen again with some of the important links that I went over at the beginning. You may know about them already, but it's not bad to remind you that, one of them, adfsolutions.com/learn. That's where all our new videos are going up, our quick hitters. We just added how to boot to a Surface Pro and scan a Surface Pro. We have live scan, how to do that up there. We have adding keywords. We have adding Project Vic up there now as well. This will go up under our webinars. Also, adfsolutions.com/support and /downloads. Downloads is very important. That's where you're going to get your user guides. That's where you can get a listing of everything that's in every search profile. And that's where you can get the latest and greatest download. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Hopefully you learned a little bit something about this today. And as always, feel free to reach out. One of my mottos is, I was in this with you. I did all this, and I don't want to have any frustrated users out there. That's the last thing. So don't ever be afraid to give a ring and say, hey, what do I need to do? Thank you for listening, and look next week for the recording if you need that, and also go to our Learn section and take advantage of some of those videos there. Thank you.